Good day, crazy friends and followers. This week we have a special shout out for you. We are doing Patsy Cline's version of the Willie Nelson song, Crazy.
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 Yeah.
I always like this song.
It's a good song.
So Willie Nelson wrote this song and somehow got it to Patsy Cline. There's a lot of surprises that I learned about this song.
I didn't know that Willie Nelson was a DJ.
Yeah, right.
In Texas, yeah.
So yeah, he wrote it when he was a DJ in Houston, and then had moved to Nashville. And Patsy Cline had recently moved to Nashville as well. So it was good timing, I guess. However, they had started to cut this song, and I guess they decided to cut it right around the time Patsy Cline was in a car wreck.
Yeah, I read a little bit about her car wreck.
So then basically she couldn't cut the vocals till she came out, but then she got out of the hospital, and I guess she was in the hospital for a little while. But when she got out, she cut it in one take. So
that's amazing.
Yeah.
I know that she had some pretty severe scarring on her forehead from the car accident, and from that time forward, she wore a lot of different wigs to help cover some of the scarring, I guess, from the car accident.
Interesting.
Yeah. I mean, I was just thinking about, because it kind of lines up with where I'm at in my healing process from the poison ivy. Yeah. Like some of the blistering, like it went really deep below like those regular layers of skin, you know, like it went deep, and we even said, oh, I wonder if there's going to be a scar. And it's not so that I feel like there's going to need to be any sort of like a special makeup or anything like that. Like that's just not me. But I wonder, you know, did it affect her ability to grow hair in certain places, like as it went back in the hairline or something like that? Because I know some scars can affect the hair follicle and whatnot, and that's hard as a performer. I'm just thinking of putting myself in her place. You know, it's hard to feel your most confident self because you're trying to deliver, at least from my perspective as a performer, when we give a live show, I try to deliver the story of each individual song, and I count myself a bit of an actress while I'm performing the song, because I try to be in the character of the song and deliver an accurate story. And if I'm not feeling confident, or if I'm feeling a little under the weather or whatever, it does affect my ability to perform those stories. So I wonder how she felt. But listening to this song, like, if this is this the first cut after her accident? That's amazing.
And not only that, it was a crossover hit. It was one of the first country songs to cross over into pop success.
Okay.
And she had major success in both pop and country with it. It's ranked in the top 200 country songs of all times by Rolling Stone, and it was ranked, as a matter of fact, in the top 3.
Well, I feel like Willie Nelson, amazing performer, amazing prolific songwriter. He's great in his own right.
Yes.
I feel like this song, her version of it, is the quintessential go-to version, country standard.
It was originally recorded by her. She was the first to record it and release it.
Did he ever?
Yeah, he did later.
I mean, I'm sure he performed it. Did he ever record it, though?
Yeah,
was it on? Okay.
But he also, they kept some of Willie Nelson's stylings. They wanted the vocal style, of course, to be more like Patsy Cline and not the way he'd sung it on the demo, I guess it was. And but they did keep the use of the major and minor sevenths and the chord progressions, which gives it a jazzier feel. It's funny
listening to her version. The piano in it has very, very jazzy licks just tossed in there, just a little boom here and there, just sort of little sprinkling of jazzy.
They kept the jazz stylings on purpose, and then also she chose to keep the singing a little bit behind the beat, like Willie Nelson delivers his songs often. You know, he's pretty well known for phrasing pretty far behind the count, you know. So it gives it that laid back feel, and she chose to keep that. But then the intervals and the jumps that she chose, they said that basically she's kind of been learning all her life to perform that song in a way, because when she was younger she was really influenced heavily by big band music.
Nice.
So like coming in to do this,
and
I guess like when she had moved to Nashville, that's when her sound changed a little bit to a little more pop. It's interesting to me that even in those days, like, Nashville was a city to come to that was more of a crossover city, even though Nashville's been known as country. But Bristol, Tennessee claims to be the birthplace of Bristol, Virginia.
Yeah.
The birthplace of country music.
Yes.
So.
Well, they boast the Carters and a lot of the original family country bands, I guess. So, yeah.
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, she actually moved from Virginia to come to Nashville. So, one other thing that's really interesting to me about the song, of course, is this is the thing that we don't get to enjoy anymore, and this is where we probably go off the rails a little bit on our chat from the song. But,
where we go crazy?
Yeah, crazy. This song is claimed to be the number one played jukebox song of all times.
Wow.
Yeah.
I had no idea.
So
now what would you have guessed? If you didn't know that, what would you have guessed?
Well, I would definitely pick a song from the 50s, because that would be the prime jukebox the era.
All right.
And I would pick a slow dance song, because people like to slow dance, I think, to a jukebox.
This is definitely not a lover's song, though. This is an unrequited a once requited, not continuing love story.
I would say it would probably, like, if I had to guess, I would have picked something like, I don't know, either like maybe not a slow dance song, maybe like Hound Dog by Elvis, or Can't Help. I would have definitely picked an Elvis song.
Yes, Can't Help Falling in Love. That would be a really good one.
Yeah, I would have picked one of those. So anyhow, I have a few memories from jukeboxes, and like the one that I remember the most, and this is how many years old I am. Some diners, and I think even Pizza Hut had a great jukebox, and I used to love playing jukebox at Pizza Hut. But I'm trying to think where they used to have, I thought it was the coolest thing when they had the personal jukeboxes on the tables.
On the tables,
Each table could play their own music. And like, man, it's like now it almost kind of like looking back, like I always think how society changes, and we to say like, oh, people get ruder because they listen to their phones at their table, like, and you have to overhear that.
Yeah.
But it's like, really,
we used to do that.
We used to kind of do that
in a more analog way. Yeah. It's
like we all want our isolation, right, from the world, and
we do while we're in it, while we're out in the middle of it. Yeah. Yeah.
We want to be around people, but in our own experience,
in our own bubble of the people. Yeah. For
sure. So, anyhow, do you have any jukebox experiences?
Oh, for sure. Like, me and my mom used to go to this place. It was, and I don't remember it like super duper well, other than it was a 50s themed diner in the
Great
80s.
Place for a jukebox.
Right? Okay. And they had a car in the establishment that they had converted into it was a convertible, and they had converted the body, like where the seats would go, into a salad bar, and I thought it was the coolest thing. It was really a cool experience to go there, and they had jukeboxes and whatnot.
I just remember that like there was a Pizza Hut and they had a jukebox, and that I would, like, while waiting for a pizza, I would try to hassle my mom for quarters. Right. And then I would
Was it one of the ones that had vinyl? Like you could see it go in and pick the platter, and it would turn, set it down.
Really cool.
Just watching it, I didn't even care what song.
And they had modern songs, like, because they would replace them with hits from the 80s.
Yeah.
And
vinyl was still a thing.
Like sometimes I would get like $1 in quarters, or depending on what my mom had, and then or how close the pizza was to being ready, or whatever, who was with us.
Or if you would rather spend your quarters on Pac-Man game.
Right. So they had the tabletop Pac-Man.
That's a thing,
which was cool, right? So you could sit down and play the tabletop version of Pac-Man, where it's like you look down at it. It was really cool. Or I could spin the jukebox. And there was something really satisfying about making my mom really liked a lot of the music that I liked, and she was more.
I think it probably went the other way.
And my dad.
That you enjoyed music that your mother liked, maybe?
Yeah, well, I don't know.
Depending on your age.
As I got
did you influence your mom with music?
Oh yeah, for sure.
That's
like
cool.
when I got into more pop music.
That's really cool.
Especially in high school, I'd listen to stuff that was current and.
Like, how did you introduce your mom to the new music you were listening to?
She would just hear me playing it in my room, I think.
Yeah, you didn't invite her in for, hey, come listen to this
Sometimes
song.
I'd be like, hey, play the song or whatever.
I know it would be like if you were learning a song too, you would play the song to her, I'm sure.
I didn't start playing music though until I was much later. So I would definitely, once I got into, I think, I'd ask for music and then I think she'd hear it from my room and be like, oh, I kind of like that. Or, sometimes it'd be artists that she listened to,
Yeah.
Of course, she influenced me and I influenced her, I think. It wasn't just a one-way street. Of course, because she had the record collection. Well, my parents had the record collection. But so I got into that, especially the Beatles. That was a big influence from her. But anyhow, it was always strangely satisfying to be able to play the jukebox and play a song that maybe my dad didn't like. Because around the house, I wouldn't be able to play in the music room or on the good stereo. When he was home, I wouldn't be able to play my music, or I'd have to listen to music he didn't like, which is also, strangely enough, had its own influence over me because a lot of the songs became
your rebel stage.
In who I am.
There's your rebel stage.
It's it became embedded in who I am. So a lot of the I think he used to listen to Waylon and Willie and those guys. I don't know that he liked Willie so much, but some of this country.
I guess my question is did you find yourself enjoying the music because your dad didn't like it, or did you find yourself just enjoying music that your dad didn't care for?
Yeah, no, it wasn't a rebellious thing. It's just I like the music.
It just presents
that's what my
that way.
friends listen to, and some of it, and then some of it I found on my own. And then there's always that feeling of finding something on your own that nobody else likes.
Yeah.
Or finding something on your own that nobody else might be aware of yet.
Yes.
So you want to be the first.
I remember I went to go visit one of my cousins and I was like, what kind of music do you like? What are you into right now? And like young people do. And she was kind of like, I like weird music. And I was like, let's go. And so she played me some They Might Be Giants, which I was already hip to, and I really enjoyed them. And she was ecstatic that I enjoyed the same, what she considered to be weird music that she enjoyed. And we found a common ground on that. But it does take a certain, music is so personal.
And it's funny, that takes a little nudge to get into it sometimes.
Yeah.
I remember I was in school, probably a freshman or maybe even middle school or freshman in high school. And I heard my friends talking about this band from the 70s, Led Zeppelin. And I was like, that just sounds like a cool name.
Right.
And they really
right.
They thought that they were so cool for listening to Led Zeppelin. And I was like, I want to be cool. I want to listen to Led Zeppelin. And I got to admit, so I got a couple, they got their box set, I think. And I started listening to it. And at first I was like, I don't know if I like this, but then I was bound and determined.
Yeah. You warmed to it.
And then it's nowadays they're one of my favorite bands of all time, So, but it was just it was so unlike anything that I would listen to that point,
Yeah. When I was a teenager, I spent an intense amount of time listening to the radio, both actively and passively. I always had the radio going, and I chose a bunch of different stations. I did not stay on one station. You know how they have the choose your favorite 8 or whatever in the car or on your stereo? Oh, I used all of them and was wishing for more because I would go from the very oldies station that played 30s and 40s music to the 50s and 60s music to country, the 90s country, and then whatever the grunge music was, the alternative rock they called it at the time. And I would pop around and I would hang out on a station for a little while, but I was incensed one day when it was the brother of one of my friends. We were talking about music as a group. And I was like, well, what kind of music do you enjoy? And he was like, you wouldn't know it. I was like, I call BS. I would know it. I listen to all the radio. And he's like, it's not on the radio though. And I was like, there's no way. What? How is that even possible? And teenage minds, right? And he said he liked the Doors.
Oh.
And I was like, I'm sure I've heard the Doors. And he was like, no, I don't think so. And
Probably had heard the Doors.
But I'm thinking on it though, it wasn't though. It really wasn't in the area. And so I had to go hunt down. I actually went to the library looking for the catalog of Doors music or the books on the Doors.
Now you look like your favorite band is the Doors. You totally got the.
You know what? I actually found that I enjoyed the Doors more of a rebellious act of I'll show you that I know who the Doors are.
Right.
I had heard, I think probably Light My Fire, but I don't think I was familiar.
The Doors were another band that when I got into them at first, I was kind of like I couldn't quite grasp the whole crooning of.
It's an interesting sound that they make
Jim Morrison,
as a group. It's almost some of their songs are almost a little circusy with like how the organ is incorporated around, like a calliope almost feel to it.
It's great.
Yeah,
it's like
I really enjoy it.
It's like a steampunk carnival kind of going on.
Steampunk carnival.
So,
how would you describe the Doors? Yes. Let's go.
Great. So,
well, we've gone off on a crazy tangent for sure.
But as we wind up, let's do this. So, we saw the evolution of the Jukebox from where it was just the hits, because it was like an A and a B side of a 45.
Yes.
And maybe you could, and then later on it became CDs, and you could play any song, even an album cut, but they had to have had a hit to get in that jukebox.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then nowadays you can literally play any song that exists, because most jukeboxes, have a database that are like the internet.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I would like to know this week what people's favorite song was to spin on the jukebox back in the day, if you were in a diner or you were out on a date with somebody special, what you would want to play. And if you are too young for the jukebox, and of course you can play any song you want, like what song would you imagine yourself playing on a vinyl?
Oh, they have, or nowadays in a jukebox, what's the go-to jukebox song for you now? How has it shifted?
Yeah, has it shifted?
Yeah.
So let us know.
Yeah. Thank you for joining us, and we will see you tomorrow for the Sunday shout out, unless you've already watched it and then you're back here. Mm-hmm. Thank you for being here. We appreciate each one of you and each one of your comments and your likes and your shares. Keep them coming, and we'll see you next week.
See you next week.